Everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, we will look back at one of history's strangest criminal trials, the Cadaver Synod held in Rome in the year 897. But what exactly was the Cadaver Synod, and why is it so infamous? What happened during this bizarre trial, and how did the corpse fare? Let's get into it. In 896, Pope Stephen VI began having doubts about the legitimacy of his papacy. He had been elected in a nearly unanimous vote, but that didn't stop him from wondering whether he was truly God's chosen one. Part of his uncertainty stemmed from the papacy of his predecessor, Formosus, who had died 2 years earlier. During Formosus's papacy, Stephen was a cardinal, and he began to suspect that his former boss may have committed perjury during his confirmation hearings. Not only that, but Formosus was also accused of simony, which is the selling or buying of spiritual things, like a bishopric or a papacy, and of neglecting his duty to the church. So after 2 years of careful consideration, Stephen decided that he needed to exhume his predecessor and put him on trial for his sins. Formosus's embalmed body was disinterred and brought into the main basilica of St. Peter's, where Stephen held court. There it was placed on a throne-like structure, dressed in papal robes and adorned with a mitre and crozier, the traditional long staff carried by bishops and popes. The corpse was then subjected to a public trial. Stephen accused Formosus of perjury, simony, and heresy, calling him a false pope, a title that carried with it the penalty of deposition even after death. According to the contemporary account by Liutprand of Cremona, an imperial ambassador to the Holy See, the defense tried to speak up, but their arguments were drowned out by the crowd. Stephen wanted a conviction. In the end, the corpse was found guilty on all counts. As punishment, 3 of its fingers, the ones used to make the sign of the cross in benediction, were chopped off and thrown into the Tiber River, the same river where Romulus supposedly tossed the bodies of his twin brothers after killing them. The remaining 3 fingers were cut off and given to 3 men who had accused Formosus of misconduct during his lifetime. The rest of the corpse was sewn up and reburied. The people of Rome were outraged at the desecration of their beloved Pope's tomb and at the removal of his right hand, which they believed gave him the power to perform miracles. They stormed the Lateran Palace, where Stephen lived, and forced him to flee to the Castel San Angelo. Eventually, the threat of armed intervention by the Byzantine emperor forced Stephen to abdicate and become a monk. He spent the remainder of his life in a monastery near the Vatican, where he prayed for forgiveness for his sins. So why is this story so insane? Well, it involves a pope who dug up his predecessor's corpse to accuse him of crimes against the church. It was only the second time in Christian history that a pope was deposed, and it was the first time ever that a pope had been deposed after death. Plus, the whole spectacle of a corpse sitting on a throne being put on trial and then having its fingers chopped off is just wild. But don't worry, everyone, this kind of thing doesn't happen anymore, at least not in the Catholic Church. You can watch our series on the papacy for more stories of intrigue, murder, heresy, and reform from the highest office in the Catholic Church. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. And if you would like to help us make more videos like this, please consider supporting us.